Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Now in this video I would like to discuss how an overseas qualified lawyer or law degree graduate could actually get admitted into Australia. Now it's actually very important if you want to still practice as a lawyer or solicitor or barrister in Australia. You're required to be admitted, and plus once you get admitted you're also equivalent to be skill assessed positive as well, and that's very important and key because once you get that you'll be able and potentially migrate to Australia under the general skill migration program. So let's have a look now what is required for you to actually become a legally admitted lawyer in Australia. Now today in this video I'm gonna take two samples, one from Queensland, the state of Queensland, and the other one from the state of New South Wales. The reason why is because first of all, as you can see, the state of Queensland's the admission information kit, it looks very simple. Okay, now I think the reason why it's very simple is because there's not a lot of people actually doing that. Predominantly most of the applicants who want to become a lawyer and practice law in Australia, they will possibly be taking their courses and study onshore in Australia to become a legally trained admitted lawyer. It's actually easier. If you already gain your legal knowledges outside of Australia, it's rarely, but it's not impossible. So I think the amount of people is really less. That's why you can see the admission kit is actually very simple. But I can actually take you to another view of the New South Wales one. It's actually, wow, very beautiful. It gives you a guideline and whole booklet. It's actually 61 pages. Now I'm not gonna go through 61 pages. That's why I picked Queensland, because Queensland does give you 2 or 3 pages and very simple, a couple stages. All you need to do is follow it. It can be done, and it's actually exactly the same what you're required to do for New South Wales and any other state. I think New South Wales possibly has spent more money on the actual information or material to be provided, but the contents and requirement is basically 99% of the same. So let's go through the Queensland one to actually see what's required inside. It's actually quicker. Then I'll take you to the New South Wales one to reflect they're actually the same contents. Now bear in mind before we start, because Australia is a country of federation, so every state does have their own law. So but the principles are likely the same, very closely related. But for example, in criminal code, some states, some criminal conduct is a bit different than the other states. Okay, so wherever you want to go, you make sure you get your admission in that state. For example, you don't take a New South Wales legal practitioner certificate and you go to Melbourne to work. It doesn't work that way. Okay, if you want to go to Melbourne, you get a Victorian one. If you want to go to South Australia, you don't get a Queensland one, you get a South Australian Admission Board. Okay, let's go through the detail and content here. So this is what you can actually find on Google. Basically, you type in Queensland Law Society and you type in skill assessment, you probably can find this piece of information in doc formulas, in doc format, I'm sorry. So I'm gonna go through and read through all these information and explain it further in detail. So basically, skill assessment requirement, all that is saying is that of course if you wanted to migrate, you need to get your skill or qualification skill assessed. Before anything can be assessed, you cannot even lodge an EOI. So for legal practitioners, you need to go through assessment with the Legal Practitioner Admission Board. They call them the board. So LPAB, the acronym again. Now they act as assessor on behalf of the Supreme Court of Queensland. So that's basically what the actual board does. And the certificate, the skill assessment certificate, obviously will provide you the result in order for you to lodge a visa for visa purpose, and you can lodge either as a barrister or solicitor. Okay, now as you can see, they're still calling immigration DIAC, Department of Immigration and Citizenship. That's the older name, about 10 years ago. Okay, they haven't been updating it, and now it's all Department of Home Affairs, and previously was Department of Border Protection. They haven't even updated that, but anyway, it's the same departmental functionality there. So as you can see, the reason I'm going to take you to the Queensland Law Society and the Admission Board is that they give you very clear stages. It's very easy to, although the document may seem very simple, but it gives you a very clear direction. So stage 1, you apply for your assessment for your overseas academic qualification with using form 12, and stage 2, they will come back with the result, and stage 3, if you're required to conduct more studies, they will advise you, and you're required to go and study more. For instance, every state does have a little bit of different differences in their property law, and of course, if you study property law in Hong Kong, in USA, in UK, it's so different. So they might want you to update that, and they also might want you to update some part of their criminal code. And also some of other administrative law as well, because every region, every country, or every state does have their own different, different kind of codes or laws to reflect the need of the locals. But the principle is the same. Is the same. Now, giving you an example, because under the criminal code, as you know, in Australia there's no death penalty, but in USA there's a death penalty. So that's another thing that you're required to have that updated. Otherwise, you might not know how to advise if the client comes before you. Okay. So once that's done, you got your qualification done, so you need to complete additional qualification if you require. So this stage they don't give you this doesn't come within 2 or 3 months. For example, if you spend 1 month lodging it, and they found out you're required to complete further subjects, and then you're required to enroll. Of course, that would take another semester, possibly, or 3 months at least. So that they don't give you a timeline. As long as you go through all these stages and complete them, that's all done. Okay, so once the qualification is done, then they will assess whether you have got the practical legal training, PLT. Now that practical legal training can be done overseas or in Australia, and there's actually courses that you can actually enroll in as well. So the basic courses will actually give you opportunity to actually become a traineeship in potentially a real law firm, and to work there as an intern. Okay, and once that's done, you complete the form 13, and obviously there's a application of that sort of certificate to be submitted. And once that's done, that's all. Obviously they need to check the time, hours that you spend, and how many things that you have actually conducted and completed. So once that's completed, they give you the copy of certificate, evidence in completion of supplementary PLT, or whatever the certificate for PLT. And once that you receive that, you'll be able to admit to the Supreme Court of Queensland. And once that's all done, you get the actual admission and the certificate for practice as a legal practitioner. That's how it goes. So it gives you 10 stages. It may look very simple, but every stages may take some time, because as a legal practitioner, they actually assess you really in detail. And of course, there's a common requirement is that you need to have a good character, meaning you can't have any criminal backgrounds, and also you're required to have the English test, unless you are already a English speaker first language. Otherwise, you're required to get an IELTS test of 7 across all bands to actually get this done. Okay, now let's reflect to the New South Wales one. Although it may look much more pleasant and more beautiful in a sense. As you can see, it's actually being amended and updated in 26th of June 2020. So this is a very, very updated version. But I can tell you the content is exactly the same, the 10 stages, but they just wanted to make it more professional with all these introduction and the update, how to use the online portal, personal ID, what's required, academic qualification, and that's obviously in the stages that we have checked about, and assessment of academic studies, and the PLT again. Okay, you need to do the PLT and the assessment of legal practitioner training, so they assess your PLT, and you need the English. Fitness, that means you need national police check, you need to be a good character, okay, and condition of meeting foreign lawyers, and then outcome basically meant the admission. So it actually includes, and you can appeal if you don't like it. If they don't like you, you can appeal. So there's actually 61 pages. All these. This is very comprehensive booklet. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all 61 pages, but what I'm trying to say is that you can also Google and search this. You can find this and go through by yourself. But again, they are basically serving the same contents of the same 10 stages, how you can actually have an overseas law background or law qualifications, and then how you can actually admit to become a lawyer and practice legal practitioners in Australia. Anyhow, should you have any further query or questions, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below. And finally, I would like to ask you to consider to subscribe to my channel. So once we have more video and more insight, you should be the first one of getting it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next video. Goodbye.